Hey guys, fall is upon us and I just got a new delivery in that just hit my door. I can't wait to open it. In fact, this is the package here. It is from MrMaple.com. By the way, before I open it up, I do want to show you guys something. Look at this leaf. This leaf comes from the Japanese maple tree. I think the name on this one again was Hakajo. At least I think that's how you pronounce it. But look at it. I just wanted to show you guys this before I unbox the Japanese maple tree that we have. Look how orange it is. Like, my goodness. That's pretty. And speaking of Mr. Maple, I believe they made a video stating how Hakajo also produces really good seedlings or varieties that come from it. So this would be interesting to see what comes up from this specific tree. But anyhow, I don't want you guys to have to wait too long to see what's inside here, so we're gonna unbox it now. I know what's up in here, but I'm excited to show you. I don't know what it's gonna look like though, whether it's in fall color or not. We'll see. All right, moment of truth. Here's what's inside. Okay, it's a little bit fried here and there. Okay, time to assess the tree. It's got some good new growth on it. Further down we go, a little bit more damaged, but it'll bounce back. We're going in fall season anyways. I might have to straighten out the trunk a bit with a bamboo stake, just to get it a little bit straightened up. I'm gonna unwrap it and water it. Just a little bit of water. I wonder if you guys can guess what this maple is before I reveal the name. I will say it is a relatively slow grower, so if that gives you any hints. This little black piece was not helping me water it in. All right, guys, let's get a look at the leaves before we talk about the variety. It does kind of have like, so if you look at the bottom, these are kind of mature leaves. It's a little bit more on the round side. You can see a bit of these sharper leaves towards the top. I think these are just not as aged. Because this is what it's supposed to look like right here for the leaves. But anyhow, the variety is Moonshadow. Again, this comes from MrMaple.com. I picked it up before. I don't know if they're out of stock. They might still have them in stock. So if you're looking for this variety, go ahead and check out their website. It may still be there. Last time I checked, it was there last week. Now, I will mention that this specific Japanese maple tree does go more to the orange-yellow side for its fall color. So that's something to look forward to. And if you're just getting your Japanese maple trees in the mill, be sure not to fertilize them because, again, we are pretty late in the season. And you only want to do that maybe once during the year, if not any at all. A little bit more information on this Moonshadow is that it will grow about 8 to 9 foot tall within like 10 years, at least what's listed on the site. I can't wait to show you guys the fall color on this since it's still green. Hopefully we get some fall color, although newly planted Japanese maple trees don't tend to have the best of fall colors. You kind of have to give it some time to age, but we'll see what it turns out to be like. And if you guys have been watching my videos, you'll probably know that we picked up quite some amount of Japanese maple trees this year. So I'm gonna show you what all of them look like, the good, the bad, and the ugly. There's no hiding anything. We have a total of, let me count them out on my fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, wait, is that 1, 2, 3, 4, is it 5, 6? It might be 6 Japanese maple trees. We'll show them all off, show them what they look like, and go from there. So I think it's best to start off with the ugly so you guys can really see what's going on here. This is the Catsora Japanese maple tree that we got this year. Now, if you can see what's going on, look how badly it fried up. It was placed in full sun. I know this came from a polytunnel, but the area I wanted it in, I wanted it to tough up, to take on some sun. It's gonna look bad this year, but the coming years, it's gonna look even better and better as it matures and gets more established into the ground. And the key factor when something like this happens, you can see that the leaves didn't completely fry, just the tips and whatnot. Just leave it alone. You don't want to go plucking all the leaves off and then hoping that it rejuvenates. Just leave it alone. Let it come back. It's going to survive on its own. Worst case scenario, we have to move the tree elsewhere. But as you can see, the leaves, they're kind of okay. They don't look great, but they're kind of okay. I don't expect a good fall display this year, but the coming years I will eventually. You can really see this one was done a bad number on. Like, it's terrible. And as with all my Japanese maple trees, we do mark the year that they are placed in ground, or when we get them. So this is a Catsora from 2020-24, as that's the year that is current. And just so you guys know, this isn't my first time at the rodeo, as we already have a Catsora. We've been through that whole situation before, the whole scenario where we put the tree in full sun. We gave it the first year to kind of just not look so great. The second, the third, and fourth, and now we're going on fifth pretty soon year. This tree looks absolutely amazing. You can see there's no frying really at all. This is situated, again, full sun. Right now we are in the morning. The sun's gonna set later tonight, but this gets sun all the way till then. And I'm showing you guys this because I don't want you guys to think, you know what, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He pretty much has a tree that fried up on him first year. That's just gonna happen, guys, especially if you got a tree from a polytunnel. It's just not hardened off enough, all right? Just protect the trunk, protect the branches. The leaves will be fine. As long as the trunk is protected, you guys are good. So I want to show you guys the caliber of the tree. Look at that. This is my hand going around it. It's pretty gosh darn thick. Again, this is just about almost 5 years. Will be 5 years soon. This tree, it usually gets what it needs, which isn't too much fertilizer. I give it fertilizer once a year, and then I leave it alone. If I feel like it needs some seaweed extract, I'll probably add a little bit in there. That's where all the growth came from. You can see this tree took off, and it's not like it was badly formed either. I want to say we did a lot of pruning on this Japanese maple tree as well. So I worked on the structure just to try and get it kind of more on the face looking side, which seems to have worked out in my favor. But back to the good, the bad, and the ugly. This is Gable's Glory. It's part of the ugly. As you can see, it lost a ton of leaves this year. This is a tree that I got from a polytunnel, put it in full sun. Obviously not the best ideal. Probably should have gave it till fall before putting it in ground. It did leaf out a bit more. As you can see, some of the top branches here. I'm just hoping the next year it'll be a lot better from what it looks like now with all these pretty much empty twigs and whatnot. Clearly this one needs a little bit more tender love and care, and it'll bounce back by next year. Sigh, it's just so bad, oh my gosh. But on to the good. This is Ichi-Yoji. Now Ichi-Yoji is another polytunnel tree that I put in full sun. Obviously I'm always testing these trees, pushing them to their max limits, but I'm also protecting the trunks. Remember, I had wrapped the trunks and I just unwrapped them since the weather's starting to cool down a bit. But again, this tree is looking absolutely amazing. We did have a tad bit of singeing on some of the leaves, but I consider this as pretty normal singeing since we are pretty late in the season. It's starting to put on some colors, which is pretty nice, if I were to say the least. There's nothing wrong with this tree. It's just, it didn't grow all that much though. Usually first year they don't put on too much growth, and then the second year they'll put on some growth. Third year they're pretty much going to leap and you know, just throw on growth at that point. Okay, now on to another one that's pretty good. I wouldn't consider it the best, but I mean, technically it's good. So this is Hogioku. Hogioku doesn't really have too much frying on it, although when it did first arrive, you can see some singeing. This is when I originally got it. It was singed, but ever since I put it in that shade, allowed it to bounce back and put on some new growth, it looks absolutely fantastic. Now, I am excited for this one to go to colors of orange for its fall color. If not, a little bit more on the yellow-orange side. We'll see. Then we have its counterpart. This is Green Star, another one that we got from Mr. Maple. Whoop! I knocked this leaf off. This was one of the bad leaves. I didn't mean to knock it off, but it did take on a bit of singeing here and there. I'm excited to see this one go more on the yellow side for its fall color. The base leaves all did fall off, unfortunately. That's when I first got it. They were kind of really fried upon delivery, but you know what? I wasn't sweating it because I knew this thing would bounce back. Now, lastly, we do have the Key Hakajo. Now, this one I did put in part shade just so that it can acclimate to my garden, and eventually I'm going to find its spot. Why, I pretty much have the spot where I want it. I just don't know if it's going to work since it's a full sun area. I got to test the waters next year with this Japanese maple tree and see just how it will perform in full sun. And if it doesn't perform great in full sun, we might have to move it to a different area. We'll see. And I guess if we included the moon shadow that we showed earlier, that makes a total of 7 new Japanese maple trees this year, all of which will be going in ground. And then the further Japanese maple trees that we get for the next coming years, we're not going to put any more in ground. We're pretty much done. We're going to create bonsais, and that's going to be my goal for the coming years. Get Japanese maple trees in small sizes and make them into bonsai. So we do have a honorable mention, which just so happens to be this Japanese maple tree right behind me. I transplanted it in middle of summer. A lot of people told me don't do it, don't do it. It's not the best thing to do. In fact, I don't suggest doing it myself because it's a big risk. But because I like to test the waters, we did it. And you know what? We were rewarded for it because here's what it looks like. Green Cascade Japanese maple tree that we transplanted in middle of summer. As you can see, it didn't take on any damage whatsoever. By the way, this is in part shade, so I think that also helped it out. It took off the edge during that summer heat because it was shaded by other trees. You can see the sun that beams around this tree, but there is shadow cast across this tree as well. And you can see that this tree is going to its fall colors. If you can see some of that fiery color there, like look at that, that is a orange red color. And then I want to show you this one section of it that is really glowing over here. Like look at that. Just imagine this whole thing in this fiery red color, which is going to be seen relatively soon here. I will say though, when we transplanted this, we did cut off like one branch, and I think that was it. We cut off one branch, left it alone. And this is how it turned out. We put some moss around it. We put a few ferns around it. So we dug up it badly, cut some of the roots, cut back a branch, and put it in this shady condition, and it just thrived. I was just walking and I see one of our snake friends I usually leave these guys alone, and they traverse the garden. He can hear me, I'm 100% sure. But, alright guys, I will see you in the next video. Peace.